there. Hi there. Shoot, the volume's up in the room. I don't want to bug the neighbors. But I did this once, and I watched it several times. And it was 20 minutes long, nearly. And I didn't mean to make it that long. But I wanted to relay. This is for doctor types who treat me and otherwise maybe following some subscribers. I don't know who you are. I can't tell everybody. Some people show up as private. So I don't know who all watches. It's really weird, uncanny, because every time I post a video, no matter what time of night or day, within a few minutes, depending on how long it is, there's been one view. Always. Who is that? I can't tell. Anyways, let me think what things to start now. I might need a rescue inhaler too. My primary, if you're watching. So anyways, I get out of breath sometimes, especially walking and trying to talk, and then that's a disaster. But this is Saturday morning now at 1:30 a.m. and I got up yesterday at 5:45 a.m. and went to bed at 11:15 p.m. and had slept from 8:30 when I got up to take the first dose of I had made up when I went to bed at 2 p.m. that afternoon, Thursday afternoon, and I made my doses up of pills for that evening and the next morning like I do, and so I had the new drug, what's it called, Vraylar. So I took that and half a 10 milligram Abilify, aripiprazole, or 5 milligrams, cut in half by my 8 because I couldn't do it with my fingers. That shape of those pills, I just couldn't cut those ones in half. But so anyway, I had a friend keeping track of me chatting on. I was reporting on chat, but I said taking the effects because I'll say this now for you doctor types. I've said this before to some of you that I attribute it to my 1970s only use of real clean LSD and fresh psilocybin mushrooms when I grew up in Florida. Okay, to the fact that I can tell when my brain starts to change modes or degrees of operation in some parameter or another, brain wavelength or another, in there. And I can travel through my brain too. And I attribute that to my LSD use in those years. I wouldn't do it again. I don't care how old I would live to be. I don't have any use for it now because I've learned the lessons to learn from it. Anyway, that makes me an eclectic philosopher of study, a student of study of philosophy, an eclectic, taking diverse subject matter and sources. Okay, so look that up. So anyways, this is going to be 20 minutes too. I didn't want to do that. Okay, so Thursday night then I took that and went back to bed when I took that. No, I was up for a few hours. I went back to bed about 11 p.m. from 7:30 when I got up and took those pills at 8:30 or whatever. And 8 o'clock I think I got up or something, 7:30, I don't know. But I went back to bed after a few hours. I had a friend checking me on chats. I was reporting. I want to say this because it was like an LSD trip because you don't know what's going to happen until you take it, till you drop it and see what happens. You have to wait to see what happens. What's going to happen? It's kind of like this. In that sense, it's the same. Only in that sense, your brain changes the way it works. With these neuropsychiatric drugs. I've had a keen sense of that since I've been well on adding newer things to me and seeing how they change my brain. They take effect. And this one's interesting because the Vraylar replacing the Abilify. Now tonight when I took the second dose, half dose of Abilify, my back, I haven't had a Flexeril. The physical therapist evaluator was coming back next Friday. This was this Friday today, yesterday now, when I still got up or whatever. But so she'll be summarizing my experiment to lower the dosage of the muscle relaxer from 10 milligrams Flexeril to 7.5 is the next lower dosage, I believe. So 5 milligrams wasn't enough. So, but I haven't had none now since 2 p.m. Thursday, man, when I went to bed. I've avoided it. I even went for a longer walk today than I usually do because I recognize the physical therapy walks 3 times a week, exercises as the weather permits, like mist and rain, and I was really lost, atrophied fast and just missing 2 days, Friday and a Monday. On a Wednesday, the next Wednesday was a nightmare to try to walk up to the mailroom. So I had to stop so many times because of my back. But but I actually made it today without Flexeril, and all day and a walk, and that was over 14 hours ago now, 15, 16 hours ago or something, I guess, maybe. But yeah, 16 hours ago. But well, I reported that the Estedo XR caused the going to sleep at the sunset and waking at the first light of dawn. It put me on that where my rhythm had been like 18 hours down sleep and like 28 or 26 or 24 or 22 or 30 hours up. It didn't matter. I used to go full bore. And this is what I was trying to tell you people. In the other video clip yesterday I watched, I thought, that don't make too much sense. I used to talk too fast. And, well, I feel like my whole body, my brain has been under attack, and my back I took that second Abilify tonight, and my back seemed to spike up a little bit in the lower back where it was curved and out of place. It's being pulled that way by the muscles, I guess, by the effect of the Abilify, the aripiprazole. So I sense that it's not being done now as much as it's on lower. The dose has been cut in half. I like to quit taking it, but I know that can be dangerous, as it was in the Xanax withdrawal I went into. It was inspired the first third of my second book, Xanax Withdrawal and Aging and Residual Schizophrenia. Very interesting book, highly controversial, I guess, validated by the foreword written by a clinician, practitioner. But so I thank her for that. I know you're watching, might be watching. Thank you. Those are good conversations about the endocannabinoid system. What they've learned and they know about it. It's the National Institute of Health. It's some place inside the National Institute of Health.gov, but some website .nih.gov. But endocannabinoid system discovered in the early 1990s. I read about this in my second book. Governs the master regulatory system for the immune, endocrine, and nervous system, governed by cannabinoids. The last thing I read about that was a while back now. They discovered over 100 new cannabinoids, that every body part is made up of different combinations. These over 100 different cannabinoids: bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, whatever, brain tissue, bone, everything. It's made up of some kind of cannabinoids. That was the last thing I saw of that several months ago. Now, a few months, 4 or 5 months ago. But so I took. I felt much more. So the first thing I reported was I felt things were sharper in focus in my environment around me, my world around me, my apartment. At first, as it took effect the first night, and the Vraylar. So, and then the second thing I noticed I reported was to my friend, was that I feel really calm. I felt much calm. I was overtaken by a peaceful calmness that I hadn't experienced in a long, long, long time, since I was on higher doses of Xanax 5 years or even more years ago, 20 years ago, or whatever it's been, 22 years ago, I don't know, but 20 years ago anyway. But so then I went to bed like a while later, a couple hours later after reporting that, or an hour later, or whatever, I don't know. But got up in 5.5 hours, 6.5 hours or something. Yeah, 6.5 hours. I never used to be able to do that. 6.5 hours. A nap was 8 hours when I was before this Estedo drug is the only thing that can be responsible for the hours of operation changing. But I got my nights back now because the XR extended release did that, and I couldn't stand it after a while. I couldn't get used to being up days, so not having my nights. So we went to the immediate release, the IR, and I gradually, after some months went by, I was able to get some nights back now. So, anyways, then adding what was it, Vraylar now. This is changing my brain too, because I felt like I wrote to some people inside my cranium. I can travel my brain too from the old days. Let's just say, to not annoy anybody, but. Well, this one family member thinks that the LSD caused my schizophrenia, and that's so fucking much of a lie, because the statistics are hundreds of millions of people did LSD in the 1960s, 1970s in the United States and around the world. Okay, so if the rate of schizophrenia remains, I saw this last week, slightly less than 1%. They round to 1% of the population, and psychotic other disorders make up 1 in 50 people. Okay, so the antipsychotic drugs are used on. But the aripiprazole, though, is known to cause scoliosis. And so I fit the different profiles for that. So I talked to my psych practitioner Monday this week, and it's Friday night now. But she agreed with all the medical journals I sent her to read that I found in Google Scholar search about looking at the tardive dyskinesia drug, what the Estedo is for, involuntary movement disorder of the antipsychotics, but so use over your lifetime. But 20% of people who use antipsychotics will get tardive dyskinesia, and was it 2 or 3 or 1 to 3 or 1 to 2 to 4? I forget. 1 to 3, 2 to 3% or 1 to 3% people who use will get scoliosis. Tardive dystonia. There were 4 or 5 tardive disorders, 5 or 6, I don't remember, that I stumbled onto in studying the tardive dyskinesia drugs. So I was astounded and blown away, and this is documented over the last year or so, 13 months in my post about this Estedo drug that I was taking. So many posts, I realized at one time 60 posts in 30 days or whatever, 60 days. But it was awesome to have that take effect. As the nerves came on, and my muscles still are more in tone because the nerves go into the extremities, burned away, which is what tardive dyskinesia is by antipsychotic drug use. So I can feel the surface of my skin again. So the muscles are built up too, because the muscles here obviously run through these muscles here, like my legs too. So I was going to say, so I noticed the physical therapist said you're getting a third aid day. So recently here, I went on that. Why I need to mark on a calendar. I need to mark on a calendar when things happen. I don't keep track of write things down anymore. I used to do that constantly. I was crazy. I'm fed up with it. We just decluttered all the crazy paperwork. I've been doing that for years, over 30 years actually this year soon. But when I came back from the hospital, the place was like a psychotic person's dwelling place. I had to clean it all up. Paperwork, pails of paper, and craziness. Wish I had pictures. These phone cell cameras didn't exist then. Digital cameras didn't even exist. But so on the second night, well then, okay, so then when I got up this morning, Friday morning, after taking that first dose of that, I noticed how calm I felt when I'd been so agitated, and like the stress of, as I'm trying to tell you folks, of all this fast. I never did a 5-day week, consecutive day week before. I'm doing that now with these appointments because the aid changed from Monday and Friday mornings to Monday and Thursday mornings. I mean, changed from that to Monday, Friday mornings, and Wednesday afternoons. So I was using Monday and Thursday afternoons for my doctor's appointments. So I still got them scheduled on Thursday afternoons, which is another day, consecutive day I got to go. Be back in bed up and down again. I don't like that. So it goes against my grain, just the way I've been the last 30 years on being well on second generation, and now third. The Abilify was third generation. So is the Vraylar, another third generation we talked about, and we narrowed down to the Vraylar, and it's working fine. So I was saying, inside my cranium, in the front, my front hemispheres of my brain, I don't think it's the frontal lobes because I feel emotions. I got enough tears at different times over different things, what I've been through in my heartache and suffering in life, pain, and from antipsychotic drugs, cause my back curvature. That's just, and I can't sue nobody. That ain't right. My pain and suffering for 20 years since the Abilify was added, it started. Nobody knew to gauge it. I blame the damn FDA, effing GDA, damn A, assholes, for not disseminating this information. The American Psychiatric Association, American Shithole Association, and the National Institute of Health, wherever they're at inside their .gov, something dot NIH.gov, they have articles about all this stuff. All kind of medical journal papers for medical journals about these tardive movement disorders. Several of them are caused by antipsychotic drug use, lifelong use. I've had all the profiles. I read the two different lifelong use profile and a specific drug profile, namely the aripiprazole as the offending agent causing. And I feel like I don't have to get it out of my system. Like when I took it more tonight, like it was attacking my body again, making my back want to hurt again. And I haven't had a flex drill since 2 p.m. What was that? That was like 24. I can't do math, man. Forget it. I don't just do math. It blew it out of my head when I tried to teach me calculus in the 1980s. But, so I never learned my times tables anyway. So I don't know how I passed. But anyway, then I got up in the morning, and it was before pill time. It was 5:45 a.m. when I got up. Pill time was 8:30 or 8 o'clock when he gets here, or something like that. After we talked for a few minutes, a little bit. But so I took my pills. I was explaining to her what was going on. She noticed a difference in me right away too. She saw me the day before. I was highly agitated and wound up and just talking a mile a minute, or 99,000 miles an hour, or whatever. Anyways, I'm getting some drooling back here from this Vraylar too. That amantadine took away from we were having come back from the Risperdal and Abilify. So let's just clear up in a few days or a few weeks. Though these drugs tend to take effect on a person, you get used to stuff like minor side effects like this. It just gets my beard wet. I just don't notice it, but I feel it if my beard's wet. So that happened before, but the amantadine we switched to from something else that made me nuts. That Artane made me crazy in the year 23 from early on that year. So my back is hurting a whole lot less, and now the Abilify is getting out of my system, the antagonizing agent, but it won't reverse though like it will if you catch it early enough. Studies say. Because nobody knew to gauge me for it. Because they don't tell people, like the FDA and the APA and the NIH, and where they know all this stuff. They don't dissemination. The writing practitioners who write these drugs don't know to gauge you for it. So what the F is with that, So that's something wrong there, majorly. The stuff is documented on Google Scholar Search if you search for the right words, like tardive dystonia, scoliosis, and antipsychotic drugs, and you'll find a bunch of results on the very subject and how it causes that. So that's documented and well known. So I can't sue anybody for that. My one mental health contact I said in the first video, this is about 10 minutes. I can't read that too far away. I have glasses. 12 minutes, 11 minutes, 21, 2. So one clinician that we keep in touch once in a while, email once in a while, and she sent me the legal lawsuits that were done on a aripiprazole company, Abilify company, where I read 2,100, 2,400 different representing clients, a class action lawsuit against Abilify, because they knew and didn't disclose it. When they know and didn't disclose something to the authorities, that you can sue them because they got caught knowing that Abilify caused compulsive gambling, shopping, eating, and sex. So I don't have any issue with that stuff, but so anyway, this cranium thing up here, man, it was like this was all gray matter. For months now, I felt like this part of my brain wasn't even turned on, neuroelectrically turned on with the rest of the brain. When I woke up this morning, I noticed it. Well, I didn't even notice it. It felt like it wasn't even there anymore. Most of it, was like healing up and starting to turn on and work again. It was shut off and antagonized by the aripiprazole, the Abilify. My back feels that way too when I took it again tonight. So I can't wait to get out of my system. I wish I could do it more sooner, but that can be dangerous, like the Xanax withdrawal I went into when I went off Xanax. That was inspired the first third of my second book. And Xanax Withdrawal and Aging and Residual Schizophrenia. Very controversial book, but validated by the clinician who wrote off on the practitioner who wrote the foreword as legitimate. What I was talking about, as controversial as it is. But if you're in Ohio, those books are in the Ohio library system. But otherwise, Lulu.com is the. I should put a link. I can't put a link though because I have to log in. I can't log or access the site without logging in. I can't figure out some of this stuff. Technical, internet, smartphones, especially, get under my skin. Or used to. They still can, but not as bad as they were. I've been on that for a while. There's one agitation on me, aggravating thing. And all these appointments with doctors. And next week I was supposed to have procedure redone because it didn't come out, what wasn't done probably the first time in February. And there ain't no way. I've been through too much, the stress-wise, and I'm not going through that much stress on doing that again, trying to make myself to go through that. It's just too soon with this med change. Call me in January, mid-January, not early January, for February. You know who you are if you're watching. I mean, you can tell him if you're watching. You know what I mean downstairs, Dr. Michael. So anyways, that's not going to happen next week as scheduled. They told me to wait till Monday to see how I feel, but I've decided against it. I don't need that kind of risk. And right now with this change I'm going through with the meds. So can you still hear me? I get away from the microphone and I don't hear I hear myself in the headphones, but you might not hear me. I have to edit this volume up anyway a little bit, 8%. But so the second night on this now, I'm talking slower than I usually talk. Different people always told me I talk too fast. Slow down. You have to slow down. They can't understand. Sometimes they're hard of hearing. Sometimes they just don't have the brain power to keep up with the speed of the thought process, focused on it, which is hard to do sometimes. I do it myself, trying to pay attention to my own videos. But I'm not talking too fast anymore, I don't think, on this Vraylar. How do they name these drugs is weird. But it's good. It was an experiment because you don't know. It's like dropping acid. You don't know what's going to happen to what happens. It's like the song by Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit. And you've just had some kind of mushroom and your mind is moving low. Go ask Alice, I think she'll know. And the verse before, the third verse. The second verse was, if you go chasing rabbits and you think you're going to fall, tell them a hookah-smoking caterpillar has given you the call. I love that song. From Surrealistic Pillow album, 1967, I believe. LSD was still legal. That was an LSD song. They got by at the censors on the radio because it was about Alice in Wonderland. So it was cool. Very smart, that lady who wrote the song, Grace Slick. I believe she gets credit for this writing the song, doesn't she? So anyways, so I'm feeling a lot calmer and steadier, so that's what I was going to say. So I took the Xanax about I took the morning pills about 8:30 when the aide was here, and I wanted her to observe me. And an hour later, I felt fine. So about 15 minutes later, I took a half a Xanax because I was afraid to take it. I was afraid it was going to trigger things happening wrong with me. So, 15 minutes later, or 20, it wasn't half an hour. It wasn't enough. So I took the rest of it, and then we went out for our walk and got further than ever before. And I didn't have to take a Flexeril since 2 p.m. Thursday. It's 2 a.m. almost Saturday now. So I haven't been up this whole time. I slept. I slept this time and been back up. Yeah, but I don't stay up for days at a time. 30 hours. If it gets out 28 hours, I know I got to get my ass to bed, wind down somehow or another. But it's hard because like I said in the last part, for one of this for doctors, my treatment team, that I'm alone here. There is no companion. That's hard on me. So, or if I talk about it, I guess if I have to dwell on it, it will be. But I try to ignore it. But just enjoy what I have here for myself. That I invested wisely, and it took me many years to pay for all these keyboards. So, anyways, So the Vraylar is a win, thumbs up situation, thumbs up, double thumbs up. I can't wait till the Abilify all the way out of my system and I'm just on the Vraylar. I'm making a totally different, calmer, more rational person that other people can understand because I got into conflict so many times. I would be out of breath and start talking, and I talking real fast, and I'm out of breath, like you can't understand me. And I think I need a rescue inhaler primary there. Besides the one you got me on, to prevent me. You said that to keep it from getting any worse, but it's only when I walk far or get physically active, as long as I stay around home here and don't get to go moving real fast, like to go out the door used to get me where I need the Flexeril, but it starts up and I sit down for a few minutes and then it stops. Even on the walk, I had to stop several times, a few times anyway this time. But we went further than usual on the way back, the long way, which was the idea to increase the walk's length when it started in January. Before that, the aide wouldn't do it for 20 months. My leg atrophy suffered terribly. And now I know it's necessary to get out of these low-sitting chairs. Everybody always complained they were low-sitting. My one woodworking friend who passed away built me some stuff, and we were going to raise these chairs up and put like 2x4 or 2x6 or whatever we had to frames on the bottom of them to raise them up, because everybody said they're too low. So I need my muscles or my legs to get up out of these things, or I can't. So the leg muscles are built up. The physical therapy is working. The aesthetics cause that muscle to build up better than ever before. I was even doing push-ups before my back became a weak link in the chain at different places, 2 different places. But it's not really bothering me where I have to take anything for it now. It's even acetaminophen. I just take a little gabapentin twice a day, very small dose, the smallest dose you can get almost. But anyways, so major things are happening beneficial here for me. But on this Vraylar and getting rid of the Abilify, it's like my whole body was under attack by the Abilify. So I hope you learned something from this and can understand why I'm canceling that colonoscopy. Just forget it, because the polyp that was found was the type that shows you're not going to get cancer. So I'm not really worried about it. It's just too much on me. It's been all too much. The 5-day-a-week consecutive days, forget it. Too many appointments. Too much stress. Too much stress. That's what I was going to say. I said in the first video. I realized in my book I wrote in the 1990s, before even the Ativan, before the Xanax, and the aripiprazole, the Abilify. I used to go full bore every day, 5 days a week, and and I would get burned out. What do I call it? I never had a word for it, but stressed out, and I would have to lay on the couch every day, get out of bed and get something to eat and lay on the couch, and I couldn't feel good enough to move around and do anything for up to as long as 2 weeks before I felt better. That happened frequently before I got on these other drugs that enabled me to go further this time, but at the same time, it's not getting me on the couch, but it caught up with me and freaked me out. It had my brain frying and like it was turned off, and now it's turned back on, and so, these are weird things you get into with psychiatric drugs. It's all an experiment with these kind of illnesses. It will either work or it won't. You don't know until you try it.